Hello, heroes. Thank you all for tuning in to episode number 40 of the Nexus podcast. I am your host, Adam Eastwood, and this week we have a little bit of news, a little more discussions about kind of what's been going on in eSports, and finally we are able to get into our battle report. So, we're going to get right into it. We have our lore-loving, time-altering gamer, David Troy.
Hi, Ben. Hi, Josh. Hi, Adam. Hello, chat room, and hi, everybody listening. I'm very excited to talk about Heroes of the Storm and pretty much any esport, as long as I'm not talking about regular sports, considering I've decided that every single sports team in Toronto that I support completely sucks. And they always suck, and they always will suck in perpetuity. I think we should just get everyone in the world to move to Toronto, and then that way everyone would support esports because no one would want to watch regular sports. As you can tell, I'm very excited for the beginning of football season and my Bills season tickets starting next week.
Exciting. I can't wait for football. We have fantasy football drafts for me to get taken care of, and I've been doing that for a little bit today. Nerd. Yeah, I'm a nerd because I like football. That's how it always works, right?
Fantasy.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see how my team plays a full season without a quarterback. So maybe we'll be pulling out the old 1926 Canton Bulldogs playbook. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, like I said, I'm thrilled that football season's starting.
We have our Blizzard and esport enthusiast, Ben Blazik.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying their night. I know that I am finally at home. Flew back in from Vegas and Carson City and to a dinner that my lovely girlfriend prepared for me, which was a very nice fish dinner. So enjoying the night a little bit. And let's talk about some heroes and let's play.
Yes. And the amazing Joshua Williams.
Hey, guys. I'm having a little case of deja vu. I don't know about you. But I am glad to be here. It's Friday night, a 3-day weekend ahead of me and David. I know not Adam, but what about you, Ben? You got a 3-day weekend as well?
Government, dude. Of course I got a 3-day weekend.
Of course you do, then.
Yeah.
Government, he had a year weekend, right? That one time?
We're not going to go there.
So I'm excited about that. I need that extra day off to relax and play video games.
I'm looking forward to getting some time off in November. Like I said, I told you guys I actually, not only am I going to BlizzCon, I have my week off, but I also found out I have 5 other days I have to use before Thanksgiving, and I will be using those right around, a couple days after BlizzCon. Yeah.
Nice.
Shh, that's a secret. Don't go telling people that. So
okay, I'm sorry.
We're going to go ahead and get right into our weekend gaming. Ben, what have you been up to?
So, trying to play as much as possible with the hotspots that were provided by work. So, been playing a lot with you and our team and Heroes, trying to do a lot of practice, trying to get a lot of kinks worked out. Still trying to find a solid 5th. Outside of that, been playing a couple of random games with some of my other friends, like Wargame Red Dragon, just because I like to test the cerebral knowledge in my brain of, microing on a massive scale. Other than that, not too much. Just been really busy on the road, so playing as much Heroes as possible.
Yeah, I think over the past 2 weeks, we've gotten the most games in together in a while.
Yep.
We've been doing Wednesdays and Thursdays, trying to get team practices. We're gonna take esports by storm.
No pun intended, right?
No, I think every show now has to have some kind of storm pun in it, and that's my new executive decision from the host. So
You needed like the little sounder with like the lightning strike, like boom, every time you say storm.
oh man, that could get dangerous. Okay, David, what have you been up to?
I feel like I'm kind of at the nexus in terms of gaming right now because I'm really kind of almost evenly spread out with the Nax event kind of over in Hearthstone. I've pulled back a little bit from Hearthstone, still playing pretty solidly, but pulled back. Getting more time in Heroes again. Decided, kind of getting in there, deciding to play a little bit of Arthas, a little bit of Nova. So, heroes that I don't really play so much. Kind of really getting back into Nova again. I don't know if maybe I'm just kind of getting into that cloaky sneakiness thing. So really enjoying that. Pretty much winding down Siege of Orgrimmar and WoW. Where our raid team is kind of we're at the point where we're just kind of running old dungeon, old raids like Ulduar and things like that. So we're just kind of getting everything ready for 6.0 so we can charge it in Salad Senate. Woohoo! Airy Peak CTR. And other than that, just kind of, I'm getting a little bit back into Diablo, too, and just kind of enjoying that. I'm not doing the seasons, though. That seems like just a little bit too much. But I actually started up a wizard character from level 1, class 1, gear 1, everything, like right from the very beginning. So kind of enjoying that.
I mean, we must only be like, 5-6 weeks away from 6.0 at this point, huh, David?
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, we figured probably 6.0 is probably going to be early to mid-October. I'm thinking they're going to give us about a month in there. So I think this will be the last month of just complete, winding up Siege of Orgrimmar. And then once 6.0 hits, I think everyone's going to really be jumping in, seeing how all the classes have changed, getting used to the whole idea of flexible rating for, what we call normal tier now, what's going to be heroic. I think that's going to be really great as well. Just with so many people in my raid team are parents and they're working and it's just it's kind of tough to keep. We're a 25-man raid team before everybody turned into a 25-man raid team, and it's a challenge to keep everybody together. So I'm confident that we'll still be able to bring in 25 every week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I need to find a raid team to go with. Because I need to tank. I need to be a brewmaster. So I'm gonna.
Well, we're out there. Just
Time to transfer to Bleeding Hollow. Don't play on a Care Bear server.
I play on 2 servers right now. I play on what is it? Dresden and Airy Peak. The one I love playing Horde. That's my thing. I've been on Horde for a while, and I have a hard time going full on Alliance. It's tough for me.
Well, you can come tank for us on Bleeding Hollow. Just saying.
Well, I'll think about it. I am quite the elite tank. We all know this. So, Josh, what have you been up to?
I have been playing a ton of Diablo. Loving the new patch. Started my season character. I'm only like level 14 right now. But, David, you should have waited for seasons, man. It's not that bad. Of course, you don't have your gold from your main account and your blacksmithing and all that good stuff, but you get exclusive gear that you can't get anywhere else, and all that stuff transfers over to the official game or the live game outside of the seasons. But that's all I've really been playing. It's just Diablo.
I've been really pretty much just playing Heroes of the Storm. I've found that I don't like playing games by myself lately. Like, I've been, I tried to play Diablo one morning. My daughter, I had woken up early. My daughter actually slept a little later, and so I jumped into Diablo, and I was like, I did like 2 bounties, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't play games now without other people. I think I'm broken.
I think our team practices lately have been like the most fun that I've had recently, because I've been in like this huge slump over the past few months of like not wanting to play games without my friends, and it's like all my friends that we all hang out in our own TeamSpeak server. It's like everybody's doing their own things. And it's like, hey, you guys want to do this? And everybody's just kind of like, no. You just hear a bit of a clicking, and it's like, okay, well, fine, losers. Then you just like go off elsewhere, and just I literally sat there and just like I would sit on my desktop, pulling my highlighter on my mouse and just highlighting all my icons for like 3 hours, and then logging off and turning my computer off.
Yeah, no, like non, team playing games at this point have kind of lost it for me. I even, as much as when I was talking about what we're gonna do for Warlords of Draenor, I'm like, let's get together a 5-man leveling party and just, go. Because I'm like, I don't want to level by myself either. I'm like, that could be a problem come Warlords of Draenor's release, just because, a lot of people just want to kind of get on and do their thing and race to, what's it, level 100. And I'm like, well, I need to find people to play with, which could be a problem.
That's how a lot of my friends were. We got everybody to start coming back to WoW and prep for Warlords. Everybody's like kind of through the mop content, and they're all started leveling together. We all made a bunch of different characters, and it's like they would be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the store, get something for dinner. I'll be back in like 25 minutes, and 4 hours go by, and they're still not back yet. So I'm just like gonna keep leveling, and I blow past them. I start another character over. I've leveled probably 3 new 90s in the past 2 months.
Oh wow!
Just because of like starting over for them and then trying to get back up, and I was just like, I can't wait for you guys to keep going to the grocery store. Like I just can't do it.
No, in terms of heroes, I've been playing Stitches again. Pretty much is my main. I am gonna do it. I'm gonna find a perfect Muradin build. It's got to be out there where it makes him, a legit threat, even in like an esports scene. Because I keep hearing, Muradin's not that good because any other hero can do what he can do, and plus other things. But he can stun so much. Like every one of his buttons can pretty much stun you if you talent it right. There's got to be something you can do, but like build-wise, that makes it a little more threatening than some of the other players out there. Because stuns are super important, especially if you're playing up against like Vala. I think he's a good counter to Vala at this point.
Well, I mean, when me and you were laning together as Uther and Muradin, granted, typically I don't like to take 2 melee in the same lane, but it was working for a while. It really depends on what our other 3 teammates are picking, because you need to have an overall balance. You got to have so much range, so much crowd control, and so much healing. And so it always came down to what the other 3 were picking. But I mean, I felt like it was definitely viable. I mean, I know not everybody we played was a 5s team, but we were definitely playing 5s teams with that build. And you were definitely still very, very effective as Muradin.
Yeah, I like him. How's Arthas been treating you, David? Have you how do you like to build him? Kind of more defensive or
yeah, I mean, I like to kind of build him pretty tanky and move him through. I have to admit, while you guys were talking about it, I had this terrible flashback to be in a match where I was constantly running into the Muradin to the point where I thought my FPS was slowing down. I was getting stunned so much. I was like, because I'm usually pretty good in terms of staying alive with Arthas, in terms of utilizing his CCs and stuns. And just kind of, being able to use that Army of the Dead ability to heal up at the right time. But this guy was just stunning me so much that I was just always getting caught into a meat grinder. I couldn't handle it. So, I mean, he's been going pretty good. Warrior's not really my natural kind of hero to play, but he is a lot of fun, and he is, especially if you're kind of up against a team that's not that strong, he can almost lane himself, I feel like. In terms of being able to handle all the minions, and if you can, get a few mercs rushing up behind you. I mean, I was able to clear 2 forts down almost myself just before the other team kind of figured out what was going on while they were running after tributes and such.
No, I found that recently. That's actually a very viable strategy. Is you keep your warrior, say, alone in the bottom lane while objectives are getting hit up top, and you're able to pretty much burn it down pretty quick. And I don't know if this is a deliberate, build or, in the game where the minion clearing is almost like a warrior's job. I think all warriors have something that really helps them clear minions. Arthas, he obviously has his AoE around him. Muradin has his thunderclap, and Stitches has his slam. So it's like you can just clear out minions so easily and just put the pressure onto the enemy towers and forts. It actually is not something I would have thought a warrior would be doing in the game, but it works so well at this point in the game.
Yeah, especially if you choose one of those talents where non-heroes damage is reduced,
Hmm.
because I especially and if it scales up enough that I mean I really felt like I was just clearing through myself, which is kind of being Arthas is it's a very kind of cool feeling because you got like kind of like your minions following you, so it's like, oh, I'm pretending these are skeletons, and it's like and you're kind of just like booming through defenses, and then you can pull out your army of the dead. It's a very cool feel. Unfortunately, since we play against other people, they don't always let me do it, which sucks.
It's also I find a lot of fun just to send Syndragosa out while you're trying to clear, and she freezes up the up the turrets and everything. So I don't know. It's like even Murden, he has you can turn his I call it Stormbolt. I hope that's the name of it. You're basically your stunning hammer, where it actually takes out ammo and does more damage to structures. It's almost as if they're like they're almost like siege built in, but not quite as good as a like a Zagara as them, but they're really solid still at that point because they're a little more survivable. They have the defensive talents and stuff like that to do that. So you can actually, like, as Stitches in Diablo, I actually go through and I'll take a couple of the ammo hits before my minions can come get in there, just so that way you kind of wear out the ammo a little faster, which I like. It's a lot of fun, that type of gameplay.
Well, I think that's almost like that's your tank, right? I mean, you're acting as the tank. You're kind of the spearhead of the attack, and it feels right. I think it feels a lot more right than it did when the game first launched in alpha.
Yes, and I find now that warriors are my favorite type in the game. Like, I didn't think that would be it. I'm a AD carry when I was playing League of Legends. In WoW, I play a tank in WoW, but I never thought there would be a MOBA that kind of bridges the two together. In terms of just like a good feeling, and I like it. The Warriors, it feels good.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Kael'thas. I mean, the game still doesn't feel like it's got a real mage in the game at all, and that's kind of what I'm, mage in the class sense rather than kind of in the MOBA sense.
Yep.
So I'm really I'm really looking forward to that because I want to start blowing people up with fireballs.
Yep. Josh, who have you been playing lately? Anyone in particular, or just kind of jumping on, playing whoever you can?
When I get to play, I'm starting to try new characters, like characters I usually not good with or haven't really played too much. So I've been switching between, like Witch Doctor, Meriden. I haven't really played him too much. I'm not good with him at all. So it hasn't been really one set hero yet because I'm waiting for the new ones to come out, and I'm hoping the two that they said are going to come out in the patch would be this after packs.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just waiting for them to come out because I Rhaegar's cool. I'm almost level 10 with him, but I kind of get bored because it's like when you play Rhaegar, it's almost like the same build every time, which most of the characters are like that. But like I said, since I haven't played them, it's kind of new to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to be the first month, August, that we haven't got a new hero since April. So since it launched in March, April we got 2, and then we've had 1 each month since then. Kind of disappointing. I was like waiting for a hero this month.
Yeah, but we're about to get 3. So
yeah, we're gonna get 3 within
and
2
2
patches.
and 1.
So that's
gonna be crazy.
Yeah, So I think I'm hoping we see one next week. I think we're gonna see one next week. If not the week after that, they're gonna have to, because they said they're really like the 4 to 6 week patch cycle, and it's been pretty much 4.5-5 weeks. So I think we're getting close to it. So we're gonna move into a quick little news about the network. We did mention World of Podcasts last week. I wanted to mention this a little closer to the top of the show. The Kickstarter has been doing really well, so I just kind of want to thank everyone out there who's been helping out with that, kind of putting in the money to help us reach our stretch goals, because we actually hit the first goal in something like 5 or 6 days, which is awesome. The next goal that they're really working on is the $2,500 goal, and that means we're going to actually have some portable hotspots available, so we can actually have a Hearthstone Fireside Gathering, which excites me because I don't have the back for the Fireside Gathering yet. So I'm like, I will go there and I will get that. So if you do have the time to go check it out, there'll be a link in the show notes just like last week. I think we're getting closer to being able to officially announce what panels we're going to be a part of. So that's even more exciting because then we can start talking about what we want to talk about when we get there. And at this point we're just about 10 weeks away, so it's getting really close, or I should say 10 episodes away.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of Heroes news this week, I think that kind of the biggest news is that there's a new kind of section to their website where you actually can go in and take a look at each individual battleground, kind of stake out what's going on, kind of click on, the different things that are around as well, so you know what's where. Ben, have you had a chance to kind of check that out yet?
Absolutely, dude. I freaking love it. I was like, I've always been involved in like some type of manner of esports since I've been gaming as a kid. I remember like sitting in high school and I would take I took all kinds of weird technology classes. I took like web design, typing, telecommunications, cabling, computer networking. Did all kinds of stupid stuff. So I'd always have like time available in the class or whatever game I was playing at the time, whether it was Counter-Strike or Battlefield or Mech Warrior and stuff like that. I was always pulling up maps and developing different strategies, just like with a pen and paper, off printing the map off of a printer. And they were always like really generic maps, so you had to try to use your imagination to remember what was there in place. And these are so incredibly detailed, and you can see everything about the map just from right there on the web page without even loading up the client. Definitely gives you more insight as far as how the game especially looks and feels if you're not in the alpha currently. And gives you kind of like an idea of different things. You can maybe sit there and look at it and come up with a couple different ideas on the spur of the moment and kind of talk to other people about. So I think it's a really great addition, and the functionality behind it, it's not quite all there. You can tell that they need to do more things to it because like some of the structure stuff is really limited and only highlights certain structures, but it's definitely a great start and I really like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't help but think of like you watch like professional sports and they go on and they write on the screen and stuff. I can't help but think of like how awesome it would be if like you're able to like be like, okay team, this is what we want to do, and you put the X's and the O's all over and be like, the X's are us, the O's are them, let's get them, guys.
Like the John Madden speech.
Yes, in order to win the game, you're gonna have to kill their core before they kill our core.
Oh, is that how this game works?
Yeah. Basically, this team is trying to kill the other team's core. Thanks,
I think
Madden.
the team that can kill the core before the other core has a good, solid chance of winning.
Yep.
Like really pedantic sportscasting. Yeah.
David or Josh, either of you guys kind of play around with it at all?
I did. I took a look at it. To be honest, I really had really limited experience in the Garden of Terror one. I haven't gotten in it a whole lot, so it was actually really good for me. I was actually using it like someone who hadn't really played the game much would be able to actually use it to kind of like check it out and get myself ready. I think it's also like a really good tool, like to get people interested in the game, because if you've got a friend who's kind of like, I'm not sure, really want to play this. I play League. I mean, this is a good way to show all the maps and show all the really interesting things that Blizzard's doing with Heroes of the Storm. So I think it's also a great way to bring people into the game and really give them a feel for it.
Mm-hmm. What's really cool is when you click on, say, the Giants, you're able to hit play, and they have like a little video. You get to see what it's all about. It kind of gets you kind of into the game a little more than if you don't have it. Like you said, like I can't wait till they kind of add a little more, because obviously there's more structures in there than they're talking about. So. Josh, how about you? Anything you've seen on here that kind of floats your boat?
Truthfully, I didn't get to play with it because when I saw it go up, I'm like, oh, that's cool. If I can just go in the game and play, I know where everything spawns out. So I'm not one of those strategic kind of guys who's like, well, if I used to take this course during this time, I'm not one of those guys. I'll just go in and go wherever. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's cool for the people who are into it. I thought about, but it's just something I'll never use it ever. Unless I'm really bored one day and I'm just like, what to do? That's about it.
Yeah, I've gone to length of playing Find the Guy in the Straw Hat, because every map I feel has a couple guys in straw hats and you see how many you can find. I've officially named him Nat Pagel, because on one map he's fishing. I'm like, that must be Nat Pagel. Why wouldn't they put Nat Pickle in this game? And they won't have to make a hero of him because he's on every map, just kind of like Where's Waldo.
Do you kind of wish that like some of the surrounding stuff you could kill, like
the people?
Yeah, like how they have like destructible surroundings and things like that. Like it's just like after a while, like by the time both teams are at level 22, it's just kind of like a wasteland. Like you just terrorize this entire area.
Mm-hmm. Like you go north of the Golem in Blackheart Bay and you just beat up on the Kraken. You're like, I'm gonna take down the Kraken.
Or just like collateral damage, basically. Like Pagel didn't make it. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Matt.
He got caught in the crosshairs between Kerrigan and Arthas. Yeah.
I have a feeling everybody who plays Tassadar would Sonic Storm him all the time. You get 1 XP for killing Nat Pagel, but that's it. You get 1.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh man! Now this week was also Kerrigan week. Any of you guys any experience playing Kerrigan at all?
No. I mean, I love her, like, story and character. She looks really fun. I don't really have too much experience with her, though.
Mm-hmm.
I play Kerrigan quite a bit. I really enjoy her. She's my trap hero in the sense that, like, I'm like feeder Kerrigan. Like, I really like playing her. I really jump in. I'm just a little too aggressive with her. That's why I don't play her that much anymore. But she is a heck of a lot of fun to play. And especially if you can kind of time everything right, she's kind of pretty tough to kill for an assassin. And she's just like so much fun in terms of just like, really flying around all over the place and just wreaking havoc. She's a great initiator.
What do you think of Kerrigan in general, Ben?
I mean, as David was pointing out, amazing initiator. It's really one of the, as long as you have the right person playing Kerrigan at the right time, she's ruthless. I mean, amazing in team fights as long as everybody's on point. You're composed around her abilities with initiating and pulling people in, because you can do a lot. You're pulling people in and you can pop a Divine Storm on top of them. Murden can jump in. I did a couple things as Witch Doctor where I'm throwing down the zombies and kind of trapping everybody in together. It's a less forgiving character, kind of like Raynor. You can put almost anybody playing Raynor, and it's really hard to screw up Raynor. You really need somebody who's going to kind of be on their toes, really aggressive, and kind of picking the right fights as Kerrigan, and not like kind of throwing the ball in the opposite direction. If you're not really paying attention, you're going to screw the whole thing up for your team. So definitely not as forgiving, but definitely still fun, very aggressive, and very deadly. You just got to really know how to handle her if you're going up against her. Kind of like a lot of stuns and a lot of poking abilities. If she's coming like at you, if I'm playing like Witch Doctor or Tychus, I'm definitely throwing like a lot of poke in her direction and kind of pulling back. So,
yeah, I would definitely say in terms of difficulty, they put her as like, what was it, 5 out of 10 bars in terms of complexity, but I would put her up even higher than that, honestly.
Yeah, she's a little bit more complex than that.
I think she's one of the ones that I've played, and I've played her a little bit, not too much. I find her more difficult to play than others, just because she feels like she should be squishy, but she's not as squishy as you'd think. So I play too nervous with her. I kind of play with her kind of like I play Illidan, where you jump in and you jump out, where I think she's a little more sustained, kind of stay in there. Which feels a little weird, but it fits her. Like they talked about in the developer insight, she's supposed to be able to go in and not back down unless 100% needs to.
And a lot of it's the setup too. You have to be able to set up the fight using her combo abilities, and if you don't, you almost, it's not unwinnable, but you almost screw up that fight for yourself. As opposed to somebody like Nova or Raynor, you can easily land your hits and then back off, go back in, back off, go back in. It's not entirely based around your first 2 opening attacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she doesn't have much in the way of escape ability. Like everything for her, it's straightforward. You're going at them. It's aggressive. Where, other, obviously the range are a little bit easier to escape because you're already at a distance from them. With either the knockbacks or stuns. But she has a stun. But even then, she's in melee, so she has to deal with it. Like Illidan, you're able to escape pretty easily with him because you can dash out. If you have an enemy minion nearby, you can flip over that minion to get on the other side. So when you go into an attack with her, you're going in and either they're running away or you're dying. I kind of feel like If that
Well,
makes sense.
you can kind of escape by just initiating with another enemy, right, or another minion. Isn't that the Q ability, or am I wrong here? Like, isn't it basically like you can jump in and then you have the ability to like jump out, but you have to jump out at someone else?
Kind of like yeah, you're right. Like kind of
Like
like Illidan
you're
does with
Spider
the-
Man, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like you're jumping from person to person.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. I guess that makes sense. That's saying that's what Illidan does, but he also has like a dash in addition. So you jump and then you can dash. So, and then you have our two heroic abilities. I found it interesting when during the developer insight that they said they're going to make some changes to the Ultralisk. But we're going to have to stay tuned to kind of hear about what those changes are going to be. Ben, you have any idea what you think they're going to do to change the Ultralisk, or do you think it needs changing?
It's really hard to say. I don't know. I don't see the Ultralisk as much just because I haven't really seen a lot of it popped by Kerrigan. I haven't really seen a whole lot of Kerrigan lately while we've been playing. Seen a few of it here and there. Honestly, I really don't know. I just don't even know where to start with that one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna stay quiet on that.
You stay quiet on that. David, when you play Kerrigan, what do you pick? Do you take Maelstrom or Ultralisk?
Honestly, like I said, I mean, I'm the like we're saying in the chat room. I'm kind of the 5 out of 10 person. Like I can be okay in certain surroundings, but my skill level with her isn't high enough. I go Ultralisk just because it's safer for me and it's something I can kind of count on and not have to worry about. That's usually the one I go with, and plus it's just kind of a fun. I always like getting the gargantuan and those type of skills. So just send my big guy out to fight you, and I'll go run away.
Oh, nice. Now, Josh, you just don't have time to play, or is it someone who you think you're going to play ever in the future?
I have a feeling I will be playing her because I do like her story. She always looks cool. It's just not anytime soon, I guess. I don't know. It's not really a time issue. I just haven't struck the urge to want to play her. You know what I mean? It's nothing about time or not liking her or anything like that. Just haven't got to her, I guess, yet.
Just one night she'll get that booty call kind of thing.
Yeah, one night she'll get the playful me with her. But yeah, it's just that's the only reason. Nothing
Personal.
Yeah, I'll work around to her. I gotta feel around for other people first. Make sure she's gonna be the one.
Yep. And we have plenty of time left in the alpha and then the beta to play. I think we got a long ways before this is released.
It's scary to think how many more phases we have in the alpha because when they refer to it, it almost sounds like it's like 10 more phases.
Yeah,
it's like Jesus, what are we doing?
Yep, we're still in technical alpha. It's like, when do we get out of a technical alpha? Like,
it's like I guess we're just gonna fully polish the game right here, right now, and just go.
Might as well, eh?
Oh, I could be crazy, but I think I read that with the newest patch this week, which was what was it, like 36 hours of downtime. I felt like probably was a little bit shorter than that, but they said that you can now see people who are on the StarCraft 2 PTR in your friends list.
That's right. They did say that.
Mm-hmm. So like you can actually do a shared friends list with the StarCraft 2 PTR, which it makes sense because they're both built off the same engine, and I just don't know many people that play the StarCraft 2 PTR at this point.
Exactly.
Not much has been going on over there.
Only people who play those really are like the real competitive people in that game.
Yeah, because
like
they want to see
average,
how it changes.
Yeah, to get their work on their build before it goes live. So once it does go live, they have the upper hand. But people who just play it like me and just don't take it as serious as them, I don't think I've ever done one public test run for StarCraft.
It's the darkness before the void, man.
That's it.
Yeah, nothing's gonna. The void is probably not going to come out until next year sometime.
That's got to be announced at BlizzCon, though, right? That's got to be. It's got to be one of the announcements. They don't have a whole lot else to announce.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to dig up my StarCraft career.
I cannot wait to see just the announcement of what's going to be going on at BlizzCon. Like the actual schedule, of events, so I can start like planning. Be like, okay, I got to run from there to there to make sure to get to Heroes of the Storm, and from there to there to get to the WoW.
It's not that crazy.
Well,
It's
I mean,
it's not time crunching like PAX or any place like that.
yeah, but I just want to make sure I get into. I'm going to be in like every Heroes panel, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing my job.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
I'll be right there with you.
Yeah.
Well, I think so much of
It's
the
just-
esports viewing is going to be a big thing this year, right? Because there's just not a whole lot of WoW stuff, or lore panels necessarily. It's just not as big on the stuff that's normally such a big part of BlizzCon. I think it's things like the Heroes tournaments and the Hearthstone Championship and StarCraft. I think is going to be such a large part of it this year.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I'm excited. I want to see the schedule. We can figure out what we're gonna do, and man, I'm just itching now because I have my I had to pick the seats for the flights today, so it makes it just feel that much closer,
I don't know. I'm thinking we're definitely gonna see a lot of StarCraft competition stuff. We're gonna see a lot more Heroes. I kind of agree with Dave. We're not gonna see as much WoW stuff because it's coming out the next week.
We're gonna see the next expansion. That's my guess.
No.
Oh,
I've heard people
really?
talk about that. No
Yes.
way. No
See, the thing is with
way.
that, people making that such a big deal that they came out and said that. Years ago, they said they already worked like 2 patches ahead.
Yeah.
They already know what's coming out, the patch after the next patch.
They got to give us something
expansion.
like a little bit. Just
Not a chance. Because
They
think
won't
about
tell
think
anything
about
at
how
all.
dumb that is from a lore perspective. Like that'd be like if they'd announced that, okay, so Mists hasn't come out yet, but the next expansion is after you've caught Garrosh and he's escaped, you're going to be going to Draenor, and it's like, whoa, wait a second, I haven't Garrosh, what?
we might see some technical
Like
stuff.
Garrosh is faction leader. Like, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. They'd be spoiling too much of Warlords.
Exactly, because if they go with Burning Legions, like people thinking they are,
Yeah,
and they say that with the next expansion, it's like, well, at least we know.
I'm seeing Legacy of the Void trailer, like just a release announcement of it. Like
Yeah.
it's got its time. It
I
is
see.
absolutely
It's
time in the
100%
StarCraft timeline for this. So a lot of Heroes, a lot of StarCraft, some good Hearthstone stuff. Less on the WoW is what I'm seeing, and then maybe some Diablo stuff, but nothing like too drastic on Diablo. Just because we're now in kind of like a stable place with it, and the game is definitely a lot better than it used to be. So.
No, for sure.
And plus, I mean, it's just a more diverse company at this point. Like, I mean, I know there's some people. I mean, a good chunk of the people that go to BlizzCon, they're just Warcraft players. But it's Blizzard is more than just World of Warcraft now, and it's gonna, especially as the game gets older, it's gonna be a smaller percentage of what BlizzCon is.
Mhm.
Right? You got to make some room for Heroes of the Storm here. Come on.
Exactly. The one thing, I don't know why this just hit me is just kind of talking about like being able to see your friends that are on the StarCraft PTR. I feel like Blizzard has to do something about this 100-person friend limit now, in terms of just the games. For example, like inside of Heroes of the Storm, there's going to be people that I play just Heroes of the Storm with that I don't need on my Battle.net friends,
They're like your camp friends and your school friends.
Yeah, I don't need people knowing who my friends are over on Heroes of the Storm. Keep them separate. No, it's more like you notice this a lot with like some people I know that play Hearthstone. They're like, oh, I have to delete somebody to add somebody to challenge them. I feel like in WoW you can have an infinite number of like toon friends. You just keep adding toons to your friends list instead of their Battle.net. I think they need to do something with that with every one of their games at this point, because I think it's going to start to be a problem. If you play all 5 Blizzard games right now, that's only 20 per game. If you find people that don't really play in between the games, which is rare that people don't play more than one Blizzard game, but it's still out there. I think that pretty much wraps it up for the news this week. Unless you guys think of anything else that's been going on news-wise. No.
Yeah,
It's a little quiet.
I mean,
it's a
depends
little
on what
quieter
you're
now.
considering different topics. I mean, there's a lot of esports stuff happening, but so.
Yeah, I mean, we'll jump on esports really quick, kind of first impression for those people out there. Want to let people know we are going to be recording kind of the esports version of the Nexus. coming up. Where we'll actually really go in depth on what's going on. Best matches of the week, best players of the week, different things like that. But in general, David, now I was kind of surprised you were telling me you actually listened to it. I know you've definitely showed esports interest, but it was pretty cool to kind of talk about it a little bit before the show with you. What do you think of the ESC so far in this like kind of maiden week?
Oh, I mean, I thought it was really interesting. It was kind of, the thing is, especially since we were so early in alpha, to actually see it sort of hit this point now, it's kind of like, oh, wow, it's like my kid's grown up and gone to college, and now it's like a real league. And it was really, really cool. It was also really interesting watching the match, and just seeing, the really top level players, basically how different the game is from, kind of your average just queue up and solo queue kind of game. I mean, I know we've played in 5-man games before and things like that, but just to really, it gave me a really real insight in terms of how these people were playing their heroes, and I picked up a little bit in terms of, oh wow, I'm doing this completely wrong, or maybe I shouldn't be just wading into this mob of minions just to take them down, and then I'm using up all my abilities, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting there as a target. So I thought it was really cool. I thought the casting was really great. I really enjoyed it, and it was there is something about Heroes compared to, say, League or Dota, that I find it easier to follow. And maybe this is something we criticized so many times about the camera being closer and it feeling claustrophobic, but somehow that makes it feel more interesting to watch in a match in an observer mode versus I just don't get as into it with League or Dota, and I've never figured out how to follow Smite. So there's something about Heroes that's actually really fun to watch.
Because Heroes is better.
That's what's fun about it.
I guess that could be it. That would explain
that answers that question.
No, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Josh, have you had a chance to kind of check it out at all, or?
No, unfortunately not. Like I said, I know I podcast about the game, but Diablo's just had my freaking mind lately, and like I've just been watching Diablo stuff about the new stuff. So I've been slacking on watching the news for Heroes right now, or watching anything with it. But so no, I didn't get to fully watch it. Sorry.
Nah, it's okay. Ben, I know you've been watching it.
Yes, sir.
That's why I kind of saved you. I know you've watched a bunch of it. I've watched. I think I'm 3/4 of the way through the matches right now. Have you watched all of them at this point?
I haven't been able to because I was having a problem with my hotspots where they were throttling my connection because we used 5 gigs in the first week on the hotspot.
Jeez.
And so they throttled our connection. I could still play Heroes of the Storm just fine, and I could still sit on TeamSpeak and sit on Skype just fine, but I can't load a freaking web page, which is stupid. So I couldn't get all the matches going that I wanted to. They unthrottled it, so I started to catch up on the matches, and then my signal strength went to crap, and so I couldn't finish watching the matches. So I'm going to try to spend a good portion of tomorrow while I'm doing some stuff, and Sunday catching up on all the matches that I missed. But from what I definitely saw, man, I'm definitely giving them credit for what they're doing so far. It's definitely still an amateur cast. You got to start somewhere.
It's an alpha cast. That's what we're going to call it.
It's an alpha. There we go. It's an alpha cast. The reason I say amateur is because of the whole webcam mic thing, because that's a little amateur. Mm-hmm. But I definitely given credit for going out and trying to do it and putting together a decent showing for one of the first official leagues. Props to you. Definitely enjoyable games. Watching these guys play that are currently what we think is the top level. I mean, we're seeing, Idra's back on the eSports scene. Idra was one of my favorite players in StarCraft 2. I'm a huge fan of Evil Geniuses, so I always followed him on Evil Geniuses. It's great to see him back and doing stuff again. Watching, ZP's team, Glorious, play, that was pretty interesting. And especially, getting to the points in the match where one team clearly has the lead. And I forgot what team they were playing, but ZP's team was in the lead of this one match, and they had a lot of great initiations on team fights. And they were ZP's was playing Diablo because the other team banned Arthas, so that way he couldn't play Arthas. And he had a lot of great grabs, and they were locking down the team fights. And then towards the end of the match, they screwed up 2 fights in a row, and those 2 fights cost them the entire game. The other team pushed right to the core, destroyed it, and that point right there, I just sat back in my chair and I was like, that is what I love about this game, and all those haters in the game currently at the low MMR levels that say GG after losing the first team fight, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're doing in this game.
No, it's exciting. I've like I said, I've watched a bunch of them. You know, I'm like trying to figure out. I'm like the teams that are there. I'm like, I want to pick like my favorite team. Like that's me in sports. Like I want to be like, oh, this team's my favorite. But it's hard because it's like it's just fun to watch at this point. And you know, the team that you kind of want to pick, like the team I'm thinking of that I want to pick, like they're doing really well. So it's like, man, and am I just liking them because they're winning? Am I creating like the first Heroes of the Storm bandwagon?
Yep, you are.
Way to go.
But it's hard not to like the team that's like, you know, like having just solid games, and like you said, the team that's able to, you know, get back into a game with two great team battles, and then you know go on and win the match. It's like, how can you not root for them at that point? You know.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about esports is you don't have your local team, so somehow you have to figure out who's your favorite team without being like, oh, they're from my area, so obviously I have to like them.
That's the thing. Mine's real quick. I was going to say that's the thing with esports is like, since you're not, for me, if I was being the sports, I would have to like the Cleveland Browns. Thankfully not, because we know how horrible they are. Even though I don't like sports, I know how horrible they are.
You got esports. Pick.
I have no idea what that is. But with esports, you get to watch a player and you're like, oh god, he's good. I like watching his play style. You get to pick because he is good, you know. So it's not really bandwagon jumping for liking someone that's good. That's how esports is. You're not going to root for oh, that guy sucks. He's my favorite.
But you know,
it's funny, Josh, because that's actually kind of, I'm going to be putting an article up next week talking very much about the point you just made, where you know the difference between being a fan of like you know athletic sports versus esports. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit. But one thing I did want to talk to go back to what Ben was talking about with that match when we were, you know, the team came from behind. And I think we talked about this way back when. But, I mean, is this something that a team could actually kind of plan out? You know, maybe the talents that they choose scale up better later on in the game. But kind of like plan it out so that that's actually what you're trying to do. Like you're actually kind of sucking the team in to a certain amount and then you kind of just flip it on them. And I guess, I mean, the only thing I can think that's comparable, and again, it's sort of because I play more Hearthstone, but is like, you know, sort of like a control build where essentially I'm just like, I'm letting you hit me. And then essentially at one point I just push and flip the game around on you. Is that something that you feel could be done? Or is that too fine a point on it?
I'd say it's definitely happening. So in our team practice the other night, I forget which composition it was, but our composition was built around being like level 13, and once we hit level 13 and we already have our heroic abilities, we're fine. We don't have any problems. We're good to go. It's not so much like sucking them in and letting them bash us. We're definitely still trying to make as many decisive moves as possible and counteract them where we can, but we were having a really hard time winning team fights until we hit 10 and 13, and then at that point, steamroll, boom.
So all the synergies click, and and then you're just good to go. Whereas maybe another team gets the abilities that help you out early on, and they're trying to knock you out fast, right?
Yeah, basically.
And there's definitely, you know, I think heroes out there that just scale better late game. So you need to look and be like, okay, you know, so and so, for example. I don't want to say a name just because I could be wrong. You know, he's good. You know. After 13, we need to make sure that we're putting enough pressure on them that we have the game in hand by then. So it's almost strategy. I think that's where pick and bans come from. Like the strategy there is, are we gonna be a early game like dominating team right from the start, or do we want to scale in the long run and you know take it slow and defensive early and then push? So I think we're gonna see a lot of different meta games in one game at this point. I think that it's a little more vibrant of a like situation than a League of Legends, because at this point League of Legends is, you know, both teams are building very similar. All heroes or champions are kind of built to be in that one role or in a specific role. I think Blizzard's trying not to put people in specific roles, so that way each game is different. You know what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense.
It does.
What? Speaking of League, what did I don't know if you guys might be talking about this on Sunday, and I don't want to steal the topic, but what did you guys think about Greg Street's comments? Did we touch on that before in terms of balancing compared to WoW? Did you guys hear that?
No, I didn't hear anything about it. What was it?
Well, basically, it's just what he was saying, that someone was interviewing him, and it was kind of a really kind of snarky interview. Not so much on his part, but just sort of the interview as a whole. But basically, what he was saying, he goes, it's like it's so much fun, more fun balancing for League of Legends. And I'm kind of paraphrasing, so if I mess it up, someone in the chat room let me know. But basically, what he said was, he goes, it's such a relief not having to balance a game where you have to worry about like someone's grandmother playing. Like he could actually like balance it at the highest levels, and so like without having to worry about casual players coming on, and it just made me think about Heroes, and it's like, is that the same philosophy they're going to use for Heroes? Because that's not really a Blizzard thing, but on the other hand, I mean, it's a totally different game than WoW necessarily. And personally, I don't know anyone's grandmother who PvPs, so I'm not entirely sure what he's talking about.
I don't feel like we should, and I know there's going to be like a lot of flack on this one, but I don't feel like we should ever be balancing games like that, ever. We should always be balancing it for the highest level. If you can't compete at the highest level, it sucks to say this, but it is what it is. Like, I can't compete at the highest StarCraft level because I don't have the time anymore. I can't do it, which is why I don't play on the tournament scene, and I stopped. I accepted that fate. It is what it is. I still love the game. It doesn't make me hate the game. And I still watch GSL and all that stuff. That is what it is, unfortunately. Just like the back in the days, the 40-man rating. If you couldn't do it, you couldn't do it. Sorry, but that's the way that it is.
For me, I say yes, everything should be 100% balanced to the highest level. Like, and we've had a lot of these discussions actually in a group me with Monk Meditation where, high level rating right now, everything isn't balanced. Monks are pretty much going to be nowhere to be seen at this point in Mythic rating because they're just not balanced to that point. Now, when you go into the lower levels of rating, it doesn't matter how balanced they are because you're there to have fun. So from kind of my perspective, yes, they should be balancing to the top players, to the pros, to the Mythic raiders who are going for world first, because in the end it doesn't matter if the Warlock on your team does 10% more damage than you do. No, because you're there to have fun at the lower levels. If at the high levels, if it's not balanced well enough, then you don't see everybody in there, and Mistweavers and Windwalkers aren't getting brought. So if they balanced it for the high end, it's still fun for the low end, if that makes sense. So, any final thoughts, Josh? I know you've been a little quiet.
No, I mean, I agree with Ben. It's, should be tuned to the highest there. If you can't do it, then move on and find something else that you can do.
But Bill in the chat room made a great point. It doesn't mean you can't play the game. You're just not going to be at the top tier. So what? Who cares? Play the game anyways and enjoy it.
Do what you can in the game. If you can't do that, then find what you can do and play that part of the game.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I mean, to me, I have a hard time sort of understanding how you could balance it any other way, really. Like, I mean, I guess you could balance it to the casual player, but then it would throw things so out of whack at the highest levels that it's really not even competitive, right? Because people would just pick the same. It also makes it really boring meta. Because it would be such obvious picks. So it was just something that I thought of, that I'd heard this week, and that I know there was a little bit of talk about, and I was just kind of it's going to be interesting to see the different philosophies between Heroes and League.
No, I'm excited. It's an exciting time for Heroes. For us, we're just like our podcast, we kind of got in the ground floor. As soon as Heroes was announced, we came out there. We're kind of pushing that with the Nexus eSports. So Sunday, same Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Heroes of Nexus, same time, 10 o'clock.
So, you would make it 10 o'clock.
I can't help it. It's
same bat channel.
Some of us have to be in the office
time.
early Monday morning, but no.
I do too. But
you don't have an office.
I have a store. Get it right. Always, it was getting picked on by you guys.
We love you,
One day
that's
I'm just gonna mute you, and then you will see.
I would be concerned if we didn't pick on you.
It's fine. Okay, so we're gonna finally get into our battle report on the Garden of Terror. So we're gonna kind of move on and kind of talk about that. Some of us at least have finally got enough games under our belt where I kind of felt comfortable talking about it. There was I felt like it was like 2 weeks of it being out that none of us had played it. So that's why we kind of delayed it up until now. So we can we'll go ahead and get this started. Josh, why don't you lead the way and let people know what the objective of this battleground is?
Well, the objective is to you want to collect the seeds when it gets nighttime by killing the horrors or whores, however you hear it. And when you collect 100 seeds, you turn into the Garden Terror when you go back to your base. You gotta go back to your base and click on like a little, what is that? A little pot, like a planting plot.
Yeah, a little kind of tiny garden with a little picket fence around it in a pot.
Yeah, yeah.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. So you just click on that and do a little casting, and bada bing, bada boom. You're just a big guy, and you push one of the lanes with your team, and you really gotta strategize what lane you're going to push, or if you want to be effective with it. Because it can be very effective if you communicate well with your team and, push extremely well with it.
Mm-hmm. And Ben, why don't you start them off by let them know what the Garden Terror's abilities are, or at least the first one.
Man,
I would do that, wouldn't I?
What happened?
So one thing they can do is Spore Queen's Curse. After a short delay, any enemy hero caught in the area is turned into a plant zombie for 5 seconds, causing them to deal reduced damage and have their movement speed reduced by 30%.
Yeah, and it can also do the plant horror overgrowth. Basically, you spawn a plant overgrowth that disables all the structures that are in a large area as long as it's alive. This deals 308 damage per second to structures and kills minions pretty quick as well.
No, I just for those I just completely messed them up. I do colors and I flip the color coordination. So in terms of like kind of general battleground tips, man, and I know a lot of people feel this way, and Ben, I think we've been a part of the conversation that this is probably one of the worst battlegrounds out there, just in terms of the objective really meaning anything. You see a lot of team fights at night, and some people will just leave the horrors there and not even collect the seeds if at this point with the changes that have been made. Ben, what kind of battleground tips would you give to people kind of in with the way that the game is kind of sitting right now with Garden of Terror?
Dude, honestly, with the way it is right now, and anybody on our team can see this from the way that I've been playing, I'm ignoring the objective. Like straight up, I'm ignoring the seed collection because I was playing a lot of Witch Doctor, and I play him like a mage, and I'm speccing him all the way through the talent tree to enhance my ability power. So I dropped the first 2 towers in the gate in one of the matches that we played within the first 2 minutes. Just right out the gate. As soon as it hit nighttime, they left the lane. I sat there soaking XP like I was supposed to, and I dropped their first line of defense instantly. And then I'd pop in and out of the forest a little bit, creating trouble anytime I would see that they were on the terrors in the forest trying to get additional seeds. I'd poke over there and kind of, give them a little bit of chaos. And then we just all of a sudden initiate massive amount of team fights. I mean, we sat in nighttime for like 10 minutes on one of our matches. And there was only like a couple seeds left to get collected, but we sat there for like 10 minutes just team fighting. Like the whole map is nothing but team fighting right now. Yeah, you can get the plant horror and kind of push with it, but I mean, honestly, they're really easy to burn down. As Witch Doctor by myself, when it was coming down the middle lane, I burned it down to half health by myself in like just a couple of rotations. So it's really, I don't see it as like a huge threat, especially not like the Dragon Knight. The Dragon Knight's definitely a little bit more powerful, and I have to kind of juke with it a little bit, but the plant horror, no. I just kind of like burn it down and then we're done. Until they fix it, my advice is to soak XP and be extremely aggressive with your teammates. Make sure your teammates are supporting you. Go through, I'm gonna call it the jungle for all intents and purposes, but go through the jungle and kind of be a threat to other people and continue pushing mercs. But soak XP and be extremely aggressive, because if you do that and you're watching your back, you're gonna win. You don't have to do the seeds in this map. Kind of like you really need to play the other objectives. This one's just pretty much team fighting.
You know, what I would add to that too is, you know, the one thing I would change about the map is that, say you're grabbing the big horror, right? And it right up tells the enemy which horror you're at. I think they should take that away, because that's asking you to get ambushed. You know, if you see that there are people attacking one of the horrors and it's not your team, as a team you could just go there and just wipe them out, because I see that happen a lot. Also, if you are playing the objectives and you are getting enough seeds to spawn the horror, what I recommend is kind of hold off spawning the horror for a little while. Don't do it right as soon as you can get it, because as the game progresses, the horror gets stronger. So you're better off with a horror at, say, 10 minutes into the game than you are 5 minutes into the game, and you can make more of a difference if you actually are doing that. Because there was one map, or one time we played, I think it might have been the last time where we played, that we that I actually went and I grabbed the horror, and I was able to push down all the way up to their core, because it was so late in the game. We were able to kind of get it taken care of, you know, if that makes sense. You know, I was able to go through, and for some reason the other team kind of just let me do it. You know, they kind of underestimated the horror at that point in the game, especially with the plant horror overgrowth. That actually it's a really good ability. It really clears out minions, and it's fun to use. And the Spore Queen's Curse is another one that's fun to use. Just because you get to turn all your enemies into little, you know, plant zombies at this point. So I like doing it. So if it's late game and you have 100 seeds and you have 2 or 3 enemies down, grab it. You know, there's no reason not to a little bit later in the game, because, you know, it's another health pool in case of like a fight with an enemy. Any other kind of tricks, hints, or anything like that in specific for the Battleground?
No, I mean, what you said about the keep an eye of the enemy team, like, 'cause if they're attacking the horror when it gets nighttime to get those seeds, setting up an ambush for them is so easy to do, and that's, you know, that could help you get a big jump ahead of the other team. And also, if you guys do decide to take down the horror, run around, collect the seeds as you're doing that, so the enemy team can't collect them. I noticed that happens a lot, where, you know, you're fighting them and the seeds are falling behind them and no one's collecting them. All it takes is one enemy guy to run in there and just run around them and collect all those seeds that you were working on getting. So while you're fighting him, what I do is I go in a circle around him just to collect those seeds. Just because, I mean, even if we're not going to get, you know, to use that, at least the enemy team will have to work harder to be able to do it as well.
I was just going to say, in order to kind of counteract what Josh was saying, if you are trying to kill the large horror, you know, don't just let the seeds stand there. Move around them and pick them up, so if somebody does come, they can't just take them away.
Yeah, because that's happened a couple times where no one was getting them, and then here comes Nova or somebody just running up behind and collecting them. It's like, great, well, there goes all that hard work.
If you get into like a heavy stalemate situation, the map objective at one point does become, I think it's more handy in a stalemate situation than actually playing the full map out the way it's supposed to be played. An example of that being, if you have like 200 seeds and you're in kind of like a grudge match and you need to break through to make something happen, do 2 plant horrors right in a row. And put heavy pressure on them, and as soon as like the first horror goes down, get a couple mercs, let the mercs push, then go back, get the other one, and push with the mercs, and just kind of like try to blow through their defenses and get on top of the core.
Also, I just thought of this now, and I've seen people do it before, is if, say you're the only one up, and your team got wiped, and the other team looks like they're going to start going after the mercs to kind of clean up the mercs, grab that horror, because it stops any merc play. Because they all disappear. You can't do it. So if they grabbed one and you're the only one up, grab it just as a defensive maneuver to hold the mercs at bay until your team's able to get up.
That's a very good. Tactic there. I didn't even think about saying that, but it works very well.
Yeah, the nice thing is it's a delay tactic. You know, you're waiting for your team to get up, you know, grab that so no extra mercs get brought your way. Now we normally do with the hero hints, kind of we go one by one heroes. What I'm going to do a little differently is I'm just going to call on each of you and just let me know if you have any specific hero kind of hints and tricks for this. Josh, what kind of tricks do you use with different heroes on this map?
Not the ones I have listed, just different ones.
No, you can do the ones that you have listed.
Okay.
But like rather than going one, just kind of
Gotcha.
go over your hints.
Yep. I like the fact that with Sergeant Hammer, you can be that pain in the butt and siege up right outside if they're, you know, attacking a horror or doing the mercenaries. You can siege up right outside and just poke at them and just keep attacking them from afar, and then you could do that with him, with Sergeant Hammer, in every match though. But I mean, with this match is very nice because it has a lot of different curves and walls that you can easily hide behind and get in there. So I like to really use Sergeant Hammer as that extra poke, I guess you can say, as Ben would say, poke. And then I like using Falstad a lot in this because of the flight to different spots. It's easy to be able to go collect the seeds if you want to, or get the enemy team while they're attacking the horror or anything like that, or getting out of there if you need to, if it's coming, you know. But I like using those tactics with those characters a lot. I mean, that's how you play those characters in any matches, but it seems to work with this map setup. It works very well with those. Work very well with this map.
So it's kind of like if you did know your map ahead of time, there are two heroes that are strong on this map, opposed to maybe some of the other options you have there. Was that what you were saying? To
me, that's how they feel. I mean, that could be just, you know, my play style. To me, they feel like they have a very good advantage on this map because of the way it's set up. Like I said, that's just me though. I can, you know, everyone has their own feel on characters and maps, but I really like those characters on this map.
So, Ben, do you have any specific hero tips that you want people to have?
I've been playing a lot of. Seems anytime like I pick Witch Doctor recently, I've been getting Garden of Terror a lot, so I've been playing a lot of Witch Doctor on it. I said it a little while ago. I've been playing a very mage build type, not so much merc support. I've been empowering all of his abilities, making sure the frogs gain in size and damage, and the corpse spiders are leaping on target. Super aggressive. Because of that, I'm able to blow through defenses extremely fast. So when everybody else is kind of scattering through the jungle, I'm basically sitting in lane, soaking XP, and staying on top of their wall to force them to do something about it. Whether it's, in some cases, they were sending 3 people just to deal with me, because I'm always taking bottom lane. So they're sending like 3 people in bottom lane just to keep me off of their defenses, and therefore it's letting the remaining 4 teammates of mine run through and do whatever they need to do. So I play Witch Doctor extremely aggressive, and I'm always trying to poke and always trying to capture them as much as possible. Like I saw certain situations where they're on top of the garden terrace trying to get more seeds, and I'm coming up behind bushes, and I'll throw my zombies on top of them and instantly throw my spiders and my frogs at them, and I'm taking them down to 1/3 health at that point. So I'm always trying to just be basically like a dick as much as possible. And Uther, definitely, because I do Uther a lot. Kind of the same thing a little bit. I do kind of like a lot of, I don't know if I want to use the word Overwatch or not, because I use Holy Radiance really defensively. And a lot of, especially against cloakers too. As soon as I see the little glimmer, I throw it out there to pop them out of cloak. And I'll stun them and just walk away, just kind of make them mad. And then just kind of watching teammates' backs a little bit. And the same thing, too, with Uther. I can get on top of a fortification, especially at level 13. And I can just kind of like mow down a fortification. If they're not paying attention to me, I'm just going to go right through it. So,
David, any specific hero kind of tricks or
Well, I mean, it's sort of my term for this battleground is sort of my secret garden of terror because I just honestly it doesn't pop up for me, and I really haven't had a lot of chance to play in it. So I don't want to give sort of tips on to be honest, I don't think there's any hero I've played more than once in here. I mean, certainly for someone like Tassadar, it's a good opportunity to use your ability where you can see much more of the field. I think that there's a strength there, and also for someone like Tyrande, to be perfectly honest, I don't have a lot of experience. I'm kind of glad I've been listening to a lot of your tips, you guys' tips. I'm happy with what Ben said about the objectives not counting because I've been kind of lost in there. Like I can't figure out why nobody's doing this. And so I'm kind of still very much a noob. It's an odd feeling for me since we knew the Battlegrounds so well, the original Battlegrounds, before we even went in the game. So jumping in and being like a complete noob, it was a jarring feeling. But I'll pass it on to you, Adam. Let's just say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my tip is for kind of in general for the Warriors is that, if you can get off your lane for a second and just grab the little horrors, you can take them down pretty quickly with your AoE abilities. Kind of like I said earlier today, where you get a lot of minion clear. You just use those abilities and clear out the little ones when you get a chance. It's helpful. Just pick them up, get going, and not worry about the big horror until if your entire team decides they want to do it. I think we mentioned earlier, but Zeratul specifically and Nova, they're really good at kind of stealing seeds away from enemies. As you're cloaked, you can move right in, grab them, and specifically Zeratul, who can kind of pop out of danger really quick and get out of the way. So it's those are the big things I've been doing. Illidan with just because he's really movement based anyways, leaping over the enemy, the big horror to grab the things, just it's part of your kind of build at this point. That's pretty much it in terms of kind of the hero hints. One person in our chat room, Bullet, said, if you don't know how to use the Garden Terror, don't click on it because you can. It actually does take a little bit of skill to use his abilities, unlike the Dragon Knight, where Dragon Knight you just click and punt or you put fire on the ground. You need to know what you want to do with the two abilities that the Garden Terror does give you. So. If obviously you got to do it sometime, but listen to what we say, know what those abilities do and try it out. But if you have a teammate that might if you kind of talk it over with the team beforehand and grabbing it, make sure that someone hasn't done it a ton of times, it feels like they could do it better, because it is a team game. You want to make sure you're all on the same page with who's going to be doing what, even if it's a bunch of random people that you don't know. Okay, so I think that is going to do it for the Nexus podcast tonight. Ben, why don't you go ahead and let people know where they're able to find you and get a hold of you?
As per normal, I'm here on Fridays for the show, and you can always get me on Twitter at Stacks and Packs, STAKSNPAKS. Just anything you need on there, whether you want to know my battle tag or you want to message something about the show or just theory craft Heroes eSports, you can always hit me up on there. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. And David, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at BrillanCTR, BRILLAANCTR. Also, I'm going to have an article coming up this week at CatalystGamingMedia.com. I'm going to be looking at esports versus athletic sports, kind of pros and cons for both, and kind of a real comparison of that, and being a fan of both. And and of course, here every Friday night as well.
Mm-hmm. And Josh, what have you been up to?
Well, you already asked me what I've been up to.
Well, you know what I mean.
Where can people find me? You can find me on Twitter at Pakawan_AIE. It's spelled PAKKUAN_AIE. And also, if you're into World of Warcraft, like we are as well, you can check out my World of Warcraft podcast, LastStandRadio.com. We usually record Saturdays. Usually goes up Saturday night, Sunday morning. But yeah, that's basically where you can find me. And like Ben said, you can message me on Twitter if you want to know my battle.net. We can play some Heroes.
Or Diablo.
Definitely play some Diablo. Yep, we definitely do that. So just hit me up.
And like usual, you can reach me at Geek of Random over at Twitter, or the show directly at the Nexus Podcast. Please, if you have any questions about tips, tricks, how to play heroes, we can look into it. Send us your questions over at show@heroesofthenexus.com. For those of you who are listening through either iTunes or any other, podcast feed, you can join us live every Friday night at 10 o'clock Eastern at twitch.tv/Heroes of the Nexus. And as usual, we are proud members of the Catalyst Gaming Media Network, where you can find bloggers, podcasters, video content creators. It's a great group of people over at catalystgamingmedia.com. And if you want to help out the show, please go over to patreon.com/thenexus and check it out. Thank you all for coming. We will see you all next week, and we will also see you guys all inside of the Nexus. Have a great night, everyone.
Official count to BlizzCon, 10 episodes.
Woo! Oh, wait, I'm not.
Oh.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
And stop. So, after the intro to the show, I realized Audacity was still looking at the other microphone, so I have to redo the intro to the show for the official podcast recording.
I thought you were going to say it wasn't on.
Well, if it wasn't on, I could still
thinking.
pull it off the video.
Skype?
Yeah, well, the video feed, but it was just kind of funny. Man. What was I going to say? That's about it.
Hi, chat room.
I think I'm going to take it down pretty quick tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming in the chat room. Because I think we're going to kind of get in and play some heroes. I know I want to, so I will see you guys around. Thanks again for coming, everyone.
Bye, chat room.
Good night, guys.
See you, chat room.